I, 37 male, Canadian. A few months back, I lost my twin brother to a drunk driver. He was the older twin, and despite the fact we looked the same, we were very different. He could do no wrong in our parents' eyes, even when he was drinking, using D, and stealing. I, however, could do nothing correctly, and was even blamed for everything bad he did. He stole money from a church, and it was my fault because I didn't support him enough type deal. Cause of my parents always placing the blame on me for what my brother did, I joined the Army and moved away at 19. I was 31 before anyone in my family ever returned any of my Facebook messages or text messages. I didn't send many, but I did make the first step, normally before I deployed. We finally put our past behind us and reconnected. I met his wife and 4 kids. They are awesome. We talked about getting our parents to move in with me, as at the time I was single and had the room for them and could easily support them financially. My dad lost his job, their health was declining, and our old family house was falling apart. They didn't want to move and came up with BS reasons not to all the time. I am now married with 2 kids and have a nice house in Manitoba with a fair amount of land. With my brother's passing, his wife has no family to look to for support. My parents only have me left. I have offered to cover the expenses and move them out to Manitoba. My parents can stay in my camper. It's a very nice camper, 44 feet, better than most apartments. My sister-in-law and the kids can stay in our basement that is fully furnished and has the space till they can get their own place. She's a nurse like my wife, and my wife can get her some work. They want me to sell everything and move out to them. They live in the Ottawa area. My sister-in-law has limited space with just them in their house, and my old family home doesn't even currently have a working furnace and looks like a crack house. They want me to use the money from selling my house to fix up the old family house, and everyone will move into that. I told my parents and sister-in-law that I will not be selling my house and everything else to move to Ottawa area. The cost of living is close to 4 times higher there than where I am. I have the means to support everyone where I am till everyone is settled into the new area. I do not have the same means to do so there. It's been a week now, and no one returning any means of communication with me. Wow, that's some choosing beggars stuff here. Definitely not the a-hole for refusing to sell your home and move to a new province with a significantly higher COL. Yes, the a-hole to yourself, though, for continuing to allow your toxic family to take advantage of you like this. I totally get it, though. Family and all, and the desire for them to care about you the way you should be. But don't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Not the a-hole. You sound like a very generous and caring person, but none of these people sound deserving of that care and generosity. Not the a-hole. You made them an extremely generous offer, and they declined. End of story. Hi, I am a grandma, and I own a pretty good business in accounting. I'm not filthy rich, but I surely have a good amount of money, and I've set aside a lot of money for my grandson for college, or for a house if he decides not to go to college. Every year for his birthday for the past 8 years, I've given him around $800 a year for Christmas and his birthday, so he can enjoy himself. It's quite a hefty sum of money, but he is a great child and I believe he deserves the money. He is 15 at the moment. Well, recently, he came forward and told me for 5 years that my daughter-in-law has stolen a lot of money from him, and some from my son as well. It turned out that she was spending a lot of money on herself and decided to pretend that my grandson's money would be going towards college funds. It was usually in gift cards, so how would it even be towards a college in the first place? Not only this, but apparently he was barely even FED and didn't get basic necessities a lot of the time. 6 years ago, she broke up with my son and dated a man whose salary was well enough to make sure my grandson was getting what he needs. They weren't in poverty. I was furious. Not only was the money I gave my grandson to have fun being used by someone who I didn't even like in the first place, but my grandson was being neglected when they could have given him the basic necessities. I recently emailed my daughter-in-law, telling her how much she owes me, and if she doesn't pay it back by the end of the year, I'm getting my lawyers involved. Well, she was furious and started using the fact that her boyfriend is a military sniper as a way to threaten me into dropping the charges. I told her I refused to do so and ignored her after that, knowing if she continued to threaten me, all she is doing is incriminating herself. My other son, who is also an employee of mine, said I was being too harsh on her and should have just let it go, and that I already had enough money as is to pay him back. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Before I get asked about this, yes, CPS was involved. There's already a case against her, but this is out of CPS's realm entirely. Edited to add 2. Grandson lives with my son already, but official custody arrangements haven't been given out yet. They aren't divorced. If she is bragging about him being a military sniper, I can guarantee you that he is in fact not a military sniper. Definitely speak to a lawyer to know what rights you may or may not have. Not the a-hole. I rarely say this, and people tend to jump to it quickly for small things. But I recommend going to the police. The military sniper threat may just be hot air, but it's still a threat. Just a quick side note. Stop sending literally any money or gift cards to your grandson. Instead, just put money in an account for him and let him know. He's old enough to understand and value this. If you do get him a gift, make it a physical gift and not money, gift card. As for the money that was already taken, it might be difficult to get any of that back without documentation. If you have a lawyer, it's worth a conversation though. See what he or she thinks about it. I, 21 female, have 2 siblings, Ian, 22 male, and Amy, 17 female. I'm asking for both Ian and I. We have a complicated dynamic. Ian and I are extremely close, but Ian and Amy hate each other. Simply put, my parents are extreme tiger parents. Since we were 7, they enrolled us in tons of classes trying to find something we were exceptional at. Chess, debate, math, etc. Since Ian and I are only 1 year apart, we went through this process together. We both had different things we were talented at, and our parents put extreme amounts of time and money into cultivating us. Because we gave them a lot of face, we were our parents' favorites. However, that wasn't something to celebrate. We were both subject to intense aggressive pressure. If our grades dropped or we failed at a competition, we wouldn't be allowed to eat dinner. Our parents also often used to lock us in a tiny closet in the dark for hours. Ian was afraid of the dark. We were also basically banned from having friends, and so we were each other's only friends throughout our entire childhoods, which makes us closer than normal siblings. I know it's weird to have your brother be your best friend, but we're the only people who can understand each other's experiences, so we're super close. However, once our parents realized Amy wasn't a genius, they concentrated only on Ian and I, which she resented us for. Ian hates Amy because our parents never punished her like us. She was allowed to have friends, waste time, etc. When we were locked in the closet, Ian would beg Amy to turn the lights on, and she'd never do it. Sometimes she'd even mock him. When Amy acted out for attention and annoyed our mother, she took it out on Ian. In high school, we were doing our activities on a national, international level, which our parents spent around $60K a year on. We were both very successful, so we were semi-famous in our school. As a result, Amy was compared to us constantly by friends, teachers, etc. Our parents also never spent as much on her as they did on us. Ian and I went to expensive Ivies, which our parents paid for. These expenses were coming from what should have been Amy's college fund. We were visiting when our parents told her, and she was furious. They told her they didn't think she was Ivy worthy, so the money was better spent on us. She was screaming and crying, and threw and broke some of Ian's stuff. Now that she's applying to colleges, she asked us if we could pay for her since it's our fault her fund is gone. Technically, Ian could, because he'll soon be at a very high-paying job. But I'm going to grad school, which puts me in debt. Ian wants to pay for me so I don't have to be dependent on our parents anymore, which I'm very grateful for. So he replied that he can't because he was paying for my grad school, but even if he could, he wouldn't because she's a dumb brat. She said he was just like our mother, which is the worst insult you could say to him. She messaged me to appeal, but I have no money to support her. Edit. I'd like to clarify a few things. We do acknowledge that Amy suffered from emotional neglect, but we're struggling to come to terms ourselves with the complexity of the privilege gained from elite education at the cost of our childhoods. A lot of you claim we abandoned her knowing she was being poorly treated. When we left for college, we did not consider what she went through as aggressive, which was wrong. But to us, at the time, her neglect seemed like a much better alternative to what we had, even if she'd disagree. Our parents' pressure for us to be successful did not stop after college. So between that and having to develop social skills for the first time, we didn't have time to maintain or build a relationship with her. By the time we could acknowledge she had gone through her own crap, she was 15 and didn't want a relationship with us apart from gifts and stuff. Ian and Amy's relationship is very complicated. I'd say they hate each other, but that may not have been the best descriptor. He doesn't care about her. It was more of an actual hatred when we were younger, but we were never aggressive to her. We just ignored her, which was also in part because the age gap made it harder for us to interact with her. Plus, in high school specifically, we were much too busy to really start cultivating a relationship. His hatred has faded into more of a dislike, mostly driven because of how triggering she is to him. When you're locked in a closet for hours without food, and your little sister literally recites what they had for dinner in front of the door, she becomes associated with that memory and those feelings. Some of you pointed out that Ian called Amy a dumb brat. He did so because she destroyed some sentimental items of his the last time he saw her, and never apologized, yet was asking for money. Does that make his response justified? Not necessarily, but it was a one-time thing. I don't mean to write this in a way that does not acknowledge her struggles, but I can only write from Ian and I's perspective. I can't tell you about what Amy thinks about this. Not the a-hole. You and Ian didn't cause this problem. Your parents caused the problem by playing favorites with their children. Yeah, I want to add in that Amy is not the problem either, and I hope Ian can learn to forgive her. She was a young child being excluded and demeaned. Yes, it sucks she was crappy to Ian, but they were all children who were being treated wrong by their parents. Their parents are the only real bad guys here. Everyone sucks here. Poor Amy, poor Ian, poor you, and your parents are dreadful. You should pull together the three of you and admit that your parents are toxic and support one another. Amy must feel so left out from your genius team of two, especially with the constant comparisons. Ian should be kinder to Amy. She's as much a victim of the terrible parenting as the two of you are, and you two have each other for support. Who does Amy have? Friends that OP and Ian were never allowed. Not saying that's the same as having family support or that their parents weren't just as cruel to Amy, but she had friends and OP and Ian only had each other. So I, 21 female, am currently in university and live on a dorm, using my own money and everything. My mom, 40 female, had me when she was 19. My dad joined the military to provide, and so he was gone most of the time. My parents split up when I was young, and my mom and I moved across the country. My mom started dating again when I was a teenager, and it was like I became invisible. When she married Gregory, 50 male, it became even different. I grew really resentful when my mom had a new baby, and I'll admit that I wasn't healthy and neither was my attitude. When the time for university came, I got a good enough scholarship and moved out. I am honestly surprised they noticed I was even gone. I've gotten 2 texts from my mom a year, Happy Birthday and Happy New Year's. Only this year did I get a 3rd text, and that's to announce I have a new baby sister. So I got an email the other day that was pretty much an invite to a Christmas dinner that they were hosting, and it seems like a lot of extended family are going to be there. I don't want to be there, so I declined the invite. Yesterday I got a phone call from my mom crying about me deciding not to come for the dinner and really wanting to see me. Then Gregory took the phone and all but called me an a-hole while scolding me. It made me feel a little bad because she's still my mom, and I feel like I should just go for her sake. Not the a-hole. They weren't there for you when you needed them. That's literally a parent's job. Yup, not the a-hole. She's crying and he's mad because your absence at Christmas will raise a ton of questions about their parenting, or lack thereof, that they aren't comfortable answering because it'll make them look bad. Only texts from your mom each year. No phone calls until now. Not the a-hole. You do what suits you. They've treated you like an acquaintance since she started dating and eventually married. It would be only normal for you not to wish to attend. Why waste a holiday with people who treat you that way? Your mother's husband's insults prove how he's felt all along. Update. Like I thought, my mom phoned me back because my grandma made her. She asked to meet me in person, but I said I didn't feel comfortable. She said she could bring Gregory or Grandma if it would help. I said hell no to Gregory, which surprised her, but I did agree to Grandma. After snow issues, we met in a coffee shop with Grandma claiming she would be a mediator. I admitted to Mom I didn't want to see her, but thought this call would clear the air. I asked why barely only 2 texts a year, and she said Gregory told her college kids didn't need their moms and she would be interfering. I asked her why she couldn't at least phone me to invite me, and she said Gregory told her sending an evite made me on the same level as the other relatives, and I would like being respected. That made no ducking sense to me, and I got so mad. I asked why the duck she even wanted me there when she would treat me like extended family. She told me when I was gone, seeing how Gregory treated their kids made her realize she'd neglected me. She'd been going to therapy and wanted us to mend things. I pointed out, listening to Gregory about me then was the dumbest possible thing she could do since he never liked me. I knew I'd start crying like a little bee, so I started ranting about how I'd rather not meet my half-siblings, since I know I'd resent them. They don't deserve that. How my extended family also cast me out. How everyone blamed therapy not working on me. My mom was shocked, and even more shocked when Grandma took my side in everything. I told her I was really sorry that I made her cry, and it didn't make me feel better. She forgave me on that, but told me it wasn't my fault and she deserved it. My mom asked if I'd ever come home, and I said that Gregory would either need to apologize or die. That was a bit harsh, since I don't want him to die, so I said if he leaves forever is good too. My mom said she understood, started crying, apologized like 100 times, and asked if she could text or phone me more often. I said sure, because it still makes me feel like crap to see my mom cry. Since then, Mom has texted me and called me every day, but hasn't tried to force things. I did not go to the party since Gregory has not apologized. Grandma has been staying with them, and things aren't too good between them. They had big fights over him refusing to say sorry and how they treated me and aren't talking. I don't want my mom's marriage to end for the sake of her other kids, but I can't lie, it feels good not to be ignored. Apparently, Mom wants to meet on Christmas or Christmas Eve. As long as Grandma comes, I'll let her. But I don't know if we'll ever be close again. Good job sticking to your boundaries. I'm happy your mom is showing growth and realizing what was wrong, and I hope your relationship improves, even if you're not super close. Also, a hell yeah to your amazing grandma for sticking by your side and acting as a mediator. I hope you have a good Christmas and that things keep getting better for you. Sounds like Gregory is trying to purposefully alienate you from your mom. If he treats his kids right, according to your mom, then he knows the advice he gave to her about not contacting you is BS.